in order for its existence, it relies on the internet. Okay, so what we say is it relies on the internet. What does the internet rely for its existence?
Electricity.
iPad, phone, computer. Okay, let's say computers, yeah? Computer. What does a computer rely on for its existence? You mentioned it. Electricity. Electricity. Sorry, my bad. I forgot to screen record. Yeah, there we go. So electricity, yeah, electricity. Now, Google is a dependent thing. It depends on something else for its existence, which is the internet. So Google depends on the internet for its existence. The internet depends on what? The computer for its existence, right? So Google depends on the internet depends on the computer depends on electricity. Now, the electricity relies on solar panels, and us human beings, yeah? So it relies on humans for its existence. Now, what do we rely on? Food, shelter, sleep, etc., yeah? So as you can see, the chain is growing. Food, sleep, etc., etc. Now, if we have an infinite amount of dependent things, we'll have the fallacy of infinite regress. Meaning, we need a necessary being for everything to make sense. Now, this necessary being, which has to be independent. So what did we say? We are dependent beings. We need an independent being in order for us to be alive. That makes sense. An example that I usually give is a seabed. So this is the sea, right? And we have a lot of creatures living in there, fishes, octopuses, yeah? Can we ever have sea and all the creatures inside without the seabed? No. So the analogy that I'm giving here is that the seabed is everything the sea and creatures fall back on, right? So what we say is that because we live in this world and we're all dependent beings, we necessarily require an independent, self-sufficient being in order for everything to make sense, right? And you guys know, from nothing, nothing comes, right? Can we ever get something without nothing? Okay, so what we say is just because we cannot get it from nothing, therefore something has to cause us, which we call God, in a nutshell. Now, is there anywhere that you believe I may have been wrong in this argument?
I know it's something that has a human form, or like that will communicate with us in the first place.
Who's that? You're talking about God?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why would God have a human form, or even want to talk to humans? You know, like why would He specify that Earth is like a particular importance to Him?
Okay.
If He's busy building the whole universe, why do we matter?
That's a very interesting question. You know, you said something very interesting actually. Have you guys seen that video where it shows our planet compared to the sun and compared to like the universe? Have you seen that video? It's profound, right? So we're like a little speck. So now we don't believe as Muslims that God is a human being. He's not a man. There's nothing like him. Yeah? He's self-sufficient. So we don't say he's a man that, you know, some Christians believe he is Jesus, etc. Yeah? Well, the question you said is, why would he want to communicate with us? Now the question is very important. Something so amazing, which is God Almighty, the fact that he cares about us so much that we're a little speck, but he wants guidance for us, and he wants us to know our purpose and why we're here. So yes, you might say, why would something so magnificent even care about us? But the fact that he cares about us shows about his mercy, because we believe God is the most merciful, he's the most just, he's the most wise, he's the all-knowing, right? So, but in a nutshell, do you guys accept that we all have to depend on something independent, which has to be God? Because otherwise, it doesn't make sense for us to be here.
Basically, like you said, there's a bunch of things that have been caused by an initial cause.
Yes. And that
why does that have consciousness? Or actually like have a personality, or what we relate to ourselves as like
exactly
having compassion. Like, that's not necessarily true just because there's an initial cause.
Of course.
Could be a rock falling.
Oh, good. So what that means is, for example, that you guys would accept the premise of being a deist, meaning there is some kind of power, but why wouldn't it be a rock? Well, what we say is that in our universe, there is intelligence, there is power, there is knowledge. Therefore, the independent being, which is God Almighty, he has to be the designer. He has to be intelligent. Because how can we have those properties in our universe, but God doesn't have those properties? How can I give rise to something that I do not myself have?
Well, that's where evolution fits in, because the point is the most intelligent beings survive. And so over time, you get more and more intelligent beings.
Okay, but
you find the societies that we have today.
No problem.
We can have conversations like that.
Of course, but if you think about it, evolution talks about, for example, the first cell. The first cell, where did that come from? Even if you go evolution, yeah? Evolution is not random events happening. There's order. Yeah, there's things that are happening. So, for example, our point is the first cell that was made, yeah, where did that first cell came from? Which was my argument that it cannot come from nothing. So
they've already replicated the first cells, like in laboratories. If you apply electricity to chemicals like clay, you can actually create self-replicating.
Good, but you know what they're doing? It's like, for example, I give you £20, you thank the £20 rather than thanking me, and you make, with that £20, you make more £20. They're using the cell that God made to replicate more. The credit goes to God, not them. What they're doing is good. They're replicating it, they're using electricity to put clay, rah, rah, rah. I'm with that, I'm well and good. But you're taking the credit of God. Imagine, like,
it's showing that there is an explanation that it doesn't rely on God.
No, but it does, because the fact that the first cell exists, where did the first cell come from? It cannot come from nothing, and the first cell is quite a complex property here. We're not talking about just like a little liquid. It's got, you know, DNA inside it and a variety of other stuff. And we know how the DNA works. It's the reason why you look the way you look and the way I look and the way you look. Yeah? DNA is something that is a property that's a working machine. Like this book has information in it, right? Information requires intelligence. The DNA is more complex than all these books put together.
So your argument basically is that because something's highly complicated, it can't be explained through any means other than an intelligent being making it.
Well, not necessarily, because then you would say, okay, well, God Almighty is more complex in design. Does he require a creator? My point is this: if there is design, it requires a designer. Because the best possible explanation to that is, where did the first cell come from, which is quite complex, that it gave life, that scientists today are replicating via that. And even when it comes to aeroplanes, we learned to make these things via other things, like the flies, the birds. We look at how things work. We are looking at God's creation, but what we're doing, we're giving credit to scientists. Like, what field do you guys work?
No, we're at uni.
University, yeah? Imagine you do a university essay, and you get A star, and I'm sure you guys do, yeah? I'll pray for you guys. Imagine somebody took credit for that and said, you know what, I did it. Bridget, she copied from me. How would you feel? So how do you think with God Almighty, where people are giving credit to things that he has created? Yeah?
How do you know that God's the creator of these things rather than the theories that scientists have?
Okay. No, okay, but when we talk about the Big Bang, we're going to a point of initial explosion. Yeah?
There's proof for that, there's no the existence of God.
No, but this shows the existence of God. You know why? Because what you're saying is there was an explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the universe is expanding. And we go to a singular point where some scientists say that it was like the size of an orange. You're telling me that everything within this universe was the size of an orange. The point is, what caused it?
Well, there's theories that have developed now where it says just that there was a universe before that.
Oh, yeah.
Multiverse theory.
And then it contracted and actually became the size of that, and then it just...
Okay. It's called the multiverse theory, or it's called the steady state theory, yeah? The point is this: even if that's the case, there are 1 million universes. The point is this: the fact that there are 1 million universes, what caused that universe to exist? Because what was our premise? Something cannot come from nothing. So those universes, either were they always there?
I feel like this is a problem with like a lot of belief systems is based on the fact that there has to be a starting point.
But there has to.
But not necessarily.
But do you have evidence contrary?
It's a fallacy to assume that time had a beginning.
Okay, so do you have any evidence contrary to that?
Let me ask you this.